Hey guys, Pete here. Gonna make a short preview video today about Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4. I'm gonna talk about Theon and Jon. We finally got this image in the trailer of Theon landing back at Dragonstone, so we're gonna talk about that. I was actually working on a different video, but I saw someone had tagged my Facebook page with a photo. It was a spoilery photo from when they were filming in Spain, and it was kind of messed up all the way around. It showed the photo, which I had seen before, but in the description it said, Jon kills Theon in the next episode. And I deleted the photo, so I can't remember exactly, but something to the effect of, tag someone you want to ruin it for. So it was like a spoiler that people were spreading around. And I don't believe that that's true. Nothing about Jon and his story makes it seem like that's something he might do, is just kill Theon for no reason. I mean, he has real reasons to be upset with Theon, but I just don't see him, especially as a guest at Dragonstone, just killing him for some reason. And then we could look at the more logical, aspects of this, that he turned in his weapons and so on and so forth. But yeah, I thought that was a really messed up thing. If I hadn't seen the photo already, I would have been really kind of pissed off. And yeah, like I said, I don't think that that's actually going to happen. But I am curious as to what will happen when Theon arrives, since Jon is likely still there. So if you haven't been, rewatching, or you kind of forgot about Theon pre his captivity with Ramsay, he definitely sold out the Stark family. During the war, Robb sent him over to his home at Pike in the Iron Islands so that he could talk to his father, Balon Greyjoy, because he needed ships, basically. And when he got there, his father basically treated him like dirt. He told him that he didn't want to have anything to do with this. And eventually Theon decided that he was more loyal to his own family than he was to Robb, to make everything really simple. Then you'll remember that he was given a small task to punk him by his dad, compared to Yara, who his dad obviously favored, to go and raid some islands and some small busy work kind of stuff, is the way he took it. And then he gets an idea that he could use what he knows about Winterfell, since he was there as a ward for his whole childhood and grew up with Robb and the other Stark boys and their family, and he ends up taking Winterfell. In the process of that, he gets seduced by Asha, and that makes it possible for Bran and Rickon to get out of there. His men, who he had a hard time getting behind him in the first place, kind of blame him for this, and it was pretty much his fault when you think about it. But anyways, they end up killing a couple farm boys and burning their bodies and presenting that as Bran and Rickon to kind of keep everybody in line. He sends for reinforcements to Yara. She realizes it's a terrible idea what he's done, and there's no real reason to hold Winterfell, so she comes, tries to talk him into leaving. He doesn't want to give up the prize, more or less, I guess you would say. And then eventually he ends up captured by Ramsay, and we all know what happened at that point, where he spends quite a long time being a captive, getting tortured in unimaginable ways, and eventually his spirits broke to the point that later, whenever Yara comes to try to free him, he's so afraid he won't even leave. He'd rather stay there and be Reek. It is absolutely terrible what happens to him in the show, but it's even a lot worse when you read about it in the books. Like, it was a very tough time, and I think you get the idea from the show, but I mean, it's definitely like haunting when you read the actual Theon stuff when he was with Ramsay there. Over time, he gets conditioned. Ramsay uses him to get Moat Cailin, and once they're in Winterfell and Sansa comes back after she's wed to Ramsay, he eventually snaps out of it enough to help her escape. And you remember when they were out there, he realizes how Jon will probably kill him, or that's what he thinks is going to happen. Sansa says that she'll say, well, you didn't really kill Bran and Rickon, but it doesn't matter in his mind, because everything else he's done, there's just no way that Jon would ever forgive him. So that's the setup. Theon now is on the outs with his own men for not sacrificing himself in battle to save Yara. So he's coming into Dragonstone with his tail between his legs. He doesn't really have anything to offer anyone at this point, because the Iron Fleet's been destroyed. And he's going to run into Jon, who has cause to be upset with him, to say the least. He does have that redeeming thing that he helps Sansa escape, and this is going to play a part. But what do we think's really going to happen between these two? Theon's path in the story is a pretty interesting one when you look at it as a whole. I mean, he was pretty unlikable for a lot of reasons. And then he became a sympathetic character whenever he was going through all that horrible stuff with Ramsay. And then at the end, he kind of got it back and he saved Sansa. Yara never really lost hope in him, and she was right to the very end, right before this battle at sea started, was trying to prop him up to bring him back to who he once was. So he looked like he was on this redemptive arc, but then he ends up going back to Dragonstone with his sister being a captive. So there is that idea that he could save her from his uncle. I never really thought too much about this as being his purpose in the overall story, though. So my idea has been for a while that he's going to end up being important, and his redemption is going to come probably by the cost of his life in something that he does for Jon. Like, we've seen him over the last season, especially just how beat down he is. And I mean, it's not, his existence is a painful one. And I think Alfie Allen does a great job of this. I mean, you feel that he's a character that is just struggling to find something to live for. So yeah, that's what I think will happen. I think that Jon will be angry with him at first, and then possibly just by the fact that Jon's there by himself with only Davos for the most part, he'll probably come around to him. We know from episode 3 that Jon's going to be able to mine some dragon glass there. I can't really imagine how Theon has some special skill involved in that. But I think he'll end up going back with Jon when Jon goes. I mean, that could go two different ways. He could head north of the wall with Jon when we see all that footage. They've kind of kept that so that we don't see who's there with him. We've seen that barracks there. Or he could be the one that goes to Winterfell, that splits off with them and goes to Winterfell to tell everybody up there what's going on or whatever. I don't know. I think there's something big in Theon's future. I don't know what it is. I'd be real interested to see what you guys think about. I'm very excited about seeing that. I'm excited about seeing these two characters together. They have not been for quite some time. And it's kind of interesting because you got the sense in the beginning that since Theon was a ward and he didn't really belong, he kind of picked on Jon a bit because at least he wasn't a bastard, you know what I mean? And Robb did kind of favor Theon because they were a little bit closer. So I don't know. It should be interesting. Let me know what you guys think. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you saw that crappy post that someone was spreading around and if it spoiled things for you. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and my other social media accounts. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.